Alright! I enjoyed this one. This was real nice in my mind. The ball droppings were minimal this season compared to last time. Going back to having a more obvious villain as opposed to last season where it kind of changed. I think that was a better move for this show, but it also helps reinforce a couple points from last season, really stressing the true consequences of Crowley's mother appearing on the scene, how the Mark has created this new entity which was always there, the reliance of Crowley in pivotal moments really stresses how actually integral he's been to this show since season 5 ended, because really, in my mind, I think I'm going to look back on Sarah and Jeremy Carver's eras of this show, because this is the last season where Jeremy was a showrunner. Basically, I'm just going to regard this as the Crowley saga, even though there's little bits in there. The Leviathans, the Mark, the little changes of villains that were leading up to the Leviathans in season 6, even though Crowley's the real villain in that season. I think that when I go back, I'm going to be able to appreciate a lot of that stuff that has continued like I'm appreciating it now. And the fun little new things that they were doing, like that episode with Imaginary Friends, like, at the beginning, I thought that was going to be crap, but by the end of it, even though I kind of felt that the reveal of the main villain was a bit weak, it was still good acting in my mind, Shows a little different side of Sam and helps remind us, didn't we used to do things like that, a bunch of us? Yeah, we did. Bringing back Bobby and Rufus for that one episode. It was a little jarring to just constantly see Sam and Dean do the exact same things those two were doing, but the banter between the groups there, along with the fact that it shows that Bobby, at least to a couple of people, had been thinking of Sam and Dean as his own for a little bit. Yeah. That's nice, You could tell that the show was heading in that direction when they originally wrote off the character, and it's just nice that they continue that. Sure, purists will notice that they're both getting a little older, but just a fun little bit, Okay, now to really dive into it, I guess. So what they did with Crowley's mother this season, kind of weak, but at the same time, given what they ended up doing with Crowley, they kind of had no choice, because it was either ignore the character for quite a while, or have her help the brothers out way earlier in the season. The first one is what I would do if I really was confronted with that, because that would not have worked with the character in my mind. She's there to be a thorn in both the brothers and Crowley's side, so there really wasn't that much choice in my mind to ignore her. Are they going to make her a little nicer now? They could, but where are they going to go with the character now? So that's something that I'm real curious to see, but the way that she came back, interacted with all the bad guys in just the right manner, helping everyone out at the end, yeah. Good use of the character, if you ask me. It's different, but the show's done plenty of different things before. Huh? Yeah. Personifying this darkness entity into God's sister, later revealed to be Amara. Well, I don't really know too much about anything related to God's sister, assuming that's even a thing in whatever version of the Bible this show is predominantly looking at, so I can only speak for it as just a writing perspective. That was good in that it gave both Crowley and Dean different interactions than what they're compared to. The conflicting emotions, though, that Dean is having for adult Amara, well, it did kind of feel like in the flashback in the opening episode for this season, that there was a little bit of tension there, which is kind of expanded upon when he's going, oh, our deepest desire, so I get to see Daisy Duke, which, by the way, I didn't know was a character. I thought it was just whatever they called the shorts. So, yeah, that was interesting for me to find out, but I don't totally, it's not that I don't buy it, it's just that I don't totally like it, but at the same time, what was I expecting? I don't know. So, I think I'm just talking out of my butt here, but the young Amara and what her relationship was with Crowley, it's just what was going on with his mother last season, personified in this, and then later brought on to Lucifer. Now, the decision to get him back, well, he is, well, was supposedly, you know, the bit of all evil, like the most evil person ever. The fact that he was his descent into darkness is slightly justified by the fact that he was passed on the mark, which then went to Cain. Part of me thinks that makes sense, but part of me doesn't, because I do buy the explanation that the mark corrupted, okay, because, well, it did to Dean, and it doing that to Lucifer, it, makes sense because, you know, he's capable of doing so much more, but at the same time, do I believe God's explanation when he says that he already had a jaded or down-sliding view of humanity? I believe that too. So I think there's a darn good possibility that in this mythology, even without that mark, Lucifer probably would have done what he did, and is there a part of me that feels like that this is humanizing Lucifer too much? I think so, because Lucifer in Season 5, you know, is the ultimate evil, but then you learn that he became the ultimate evil because the original ultimate evil had their, enabling factor taken away? But then he passes it on and then he's still kind of evil? When I'm saying it like this, it feels kind of stupid, you know? So it's an interesting turn that they did with the mythology. When you really truly think about it, it doesn't hold up as well, but it is a nice conversation topic. I 100% agree with that. Because, yeah, Blair Witch, I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, but is it a great discussion topic? Hell yeah. And I didn't get everything that there was to see from that movie, so those of you who did, that more than gives the movie credit where it's due, you know? Yeah. It does, although I will admit now, this also does make Cain's story even less impressive, if you ask me. Yeah. So, okay, so I'm going to give the writers an L on that issue. Yeah, Lucifer's bit, given how I'm still kind of conflicted by it and what he was able to do in this season, yeah. Darn bug. Right. But putting past mythology aside, Lucifer's reintroduction, well, desperate times call for desperate measures, and I mean, like, I really should not have been that surprised that he was able to manipulate the outcome, get out of there, and then cause even more havoc for the main characters, I do like that they brought the same actor to come back, even though we did see him in season 7, I think it was, where he was giving Sam nightmares, or maybe that was season 6. I don't remember, but it was one of those two. It was nice that they brought him back, though it is a bit of a shame he wasn't able to continue, but at the same time, we've seen both Sam and Dean both get corrupted in some manner of speaking by some kind of supernatural force. Kaz, on the other hand, even though I think there was one other time that he was possessed, but I can't remember what it was, we've never seen this angle before. And while it is kind of out of character for him, at the same time, given how desperate the situation was, and how in season 4, you know, he was willing to question things, and then right at the last second when Lucifer was about to be freed, he gets cold feet and tries to pull the plug, but it doesn't work. I don't know. What? Part of me wants to say it's out of character, but the other part of me is like, it's not that crazy, all things considered. He's been shown to act uncharacteristically when crap hits the fan. Is this really any different? There's a compelling argument for it. And even then, I'm sure that the actor that was playing Lucifer gave Misha some tips that he could model himself of. Because Jared, when he was playing possessed Sam, I think that he just did that straight. I think that was all him. Misha, though, I'm sure that he took some tips from that guy, because it's not that Misha's voice changes that much. He changes it a little, but just, he definitely was able to make it very obvious when he's playing Lucifer, and then when he's playing Kaz all over it again, because Kaz, I think, speaks just slightly slower, that kind of a thing. Right, and what I especially love about it, though, was that never once did they really try and go for humor while Misha was doing Lucifer. He plays it as a very cruel character who stops just shy of being totally cruel, you know, in order to keep this a family show, but you can tell that he's causing things to change, forcing Crowley literally onto his knees, turning a lot of people against him again, and just various bits like that. Yeah. So I'm actually glad that Misha got the chance to do this, and the thing is, I think I'm actually in the minority with this and one other thing that occurs later in this season, judging by a couple comments that I saw on YouTube scenes, but hey, yeah, it happens sometimes, you know. Right. And then, bringing back Chuck for real, and then confirming that it's not that he's a prophet, he's actually God who had wiped his memory enough that it caused a more innocent playing out of season 5, for lack of a better term. I really can't think of any other way to describe it, but now he's openly coming forward, grabbing back Metatron and putting him to some better use. Thank you. It was getting a little annoying with him as a running gag, constantly coming back, that kind of a thing. That was getting to me, yeah. So putting him to some good use here, but also bringing back Metatron's bit of being the rider and then all that stuff, that was good to do in my mind. And the fact that God, like with Kaz and Metatron when they became human, is having just various moments where he has different appreciations for different things. I like the fact that they did that, because it's quite another thing to create something and then try and actually execute it, because like all these physics geeks. It's quite one thing to come up with the theory and the math to prove that something is possible, and then it's another to actually do it. Isn't that kind of what the concept they were going for in Will Smith's movie Hitch, where he does great at giving people all kinds of sorts of relationship advice, but then when he starts getting into a relationship with what's her face, Eva Mendes, something like that, he's totally face planting just like all of his clients? Yeah. All of us saying that the dialogue between Anakin and Padme was cringeworthy and that we act the exact same way on our first real interaction with girls? Ding ding! Yep. 10-year-old me. But anyways. I felt like they handled that pretty well with all of his interactions with Lucifer and the boys. Yeah. That was good. And how this time he recognizes, yeah, I gotta bring my A game to this one, and this really might be trouble. And how he's the light balancing out Amara's darkness. It makes sense in my mind. Yin and Yang had to originate in simplistic form somewhere. Yeah. Almost done with this. So then the final battle where they all try to get Amara, seemingly almost do it, and then she's somehow able to overcome everyone and blast everyone to smithereens, and then yank out Lucifer's soul, leading to the true end of things where it looks like it's all going to go bad, but then Amara has the exact moment that God, Chuck, had that he was demonstrating to Metatron, where she realizes the beauty in just the simple things. Because the older I'm getting, the more that I've come to appreciate just how good I have things in this ever-worsening equation for average American citizens. And just little things like that, you know. So she just took a moment to stop, look around her, and then she realizes, oh my God, I'm looking at this completely the wrong way. So then how she just decides to heal God on her own without any real interference by the brothers, that I think was a great way to end the season. I think I'm definitely the minority on that, but I love the fact that they were able to do that and not have like another big battle and just have her realize her mistake. Hey, and she mends things up. A family bit. Yeah, that was good. Really good. I love that. Not to say that there weren't a couple of other things that happened in that finale that I didn't like, because that cliffhanger with this new character appearing out of nowhere, basically the female equivalent of the FBI agent in like seasons 2 through 4 or whatnot, that came out of nowhere, even though she says, oh, the men of letters have come to bring you in for, yeah, that totally came out of left field, and somehow I don't think they're going to do a good job next season explaining that. I might eat my words. We'll see. Oh yeah! Billy! Well, that does make me view what they did last season in even more of a negative light, because turns out, yes, they really did kill Death, not just his meat suit. What the hell? And it seems like while there isn't like a true new Death, at the same time, given how much Billy kept saying to the brothers, when you die, there's no more second chances, you will be dead, even though she is classified as a Reaper, original Death was never classified as a Reaper. He was different, you know, so, yeah, great job at providing a disservice to the character in my mind, and then also the way that she came through in order to help the brothers right at the end, and that is what I take issue with in this finale, okay? Other than that female character right at the end that seemingly has shot Sam. Well, she definitely pulled the trigger, but who knows if she shot him. Or if she did, where did she shoot him? The shoulder, chest, leg, eh? Although it stands to reason that she didn't lower the gun far enough, but you get the idea. But yeah, like, her just coming out of nowhere, that, I mean, like, I get that she wants to beat the darkness. I get that, because, well, she'd be out of a freaking job after a bit, but, you know, just... Yeah, I am not a fan of this character. Here's to hoping that they don't use her that much in the upcoming, seasons, but I'm sure that they are, because, I mean, like, the original Reaper, like in season 2, you know, the one that appeared in season 6, her name might have been Tessa or something like that, but anyways, give me a second! You know, they used her a few times, and yeah, so it just makes sense that they're gonna keep using her, so unfortunately, I'm gonna be seeing more of this character. I am not a fan of that. Cameo number 3, I think this is. See ya, Dad. Okay. But yeah, so those two things in the finale sucked but, yeah. Oh, and resurrecting Mary, at least in part, well, I kind of assumed that's what they were going to go for, because Dean definitely classified his mom as more precious than John, but, I don't know, we gotta see more. Except I think that this is the same actress from at least some point. I don't think that this is the young actress, but like the older one, I'd be willing to bet that this is the same one. So that I'm curious to see about. And it's going to be real interesting to see what Robert Sr. and that Adam guy are going to be doing now that they're the showrunners of this show. Yes, I know that Robert Sr. took a step back this season, but I saw a tweet in an article that was sort of explaining why he took a step back, which didn't really explain it at all, but, you know, he directed the first episode of this season and was in the special features, so if he's in the special features and was aware of what the show was doing with its mythology, he's still part of the creative process behind the show, and they just didn't give him top credit, even though he goes right back. So yeah, this is not a blip. Okay, he did it for whatever reason, and then he comes right back. I don't need an explanation. It'll be like he never left, because he didn't, really. So yeah.